Hey, this is Nicholas with the Backyard TARDIS with my second ever trailer reaction. This time we're going to look at Power of the Doctor, the trailer for the final Jodie Whittaker Chibnall era um, episode. To say that I have not been a fan of this era is, well, to put it mildly. And I want to put it out there. I am somebody who gave this era more than a fair shake. Through the first whole season, I had no problem with the Doctor being a woman, and while most of the episodes I didn't like, anytime there was an episode that I did like, I was right there to really go into it and tell you why I liked it. Um, and if in it now, there's a number of episodes that I did kind of like, but after the whole stuff with the timeless child, it just soured my experience. And I will say that when I finally, in preparation for a podcast, watched the season after The Timeless Child, that I do think it was a step up in some departments, though it would then have moments that were really bad. Um, and that way, think of it like the Book of Boba Fett. Uh, Except that more canon, well, worse canon breaking, but um, it would just be like some scenes that were like super epic and others that were like just goofy and clownish. And when you're talking about Doctor Who and you think that the costumes and the stuff are goofy and clownish and bad for Doctor Who, um, that's saying something. Um, because just part of Doctor Who's charm, it's quirky. The aliens are not the most, shall we say, um, always the most sci-fi advanced graphics and stuff, especially like in the classic Who. And there's some, you acknowledge the time period and stuff, and it's all practical, but there was just stuff that I didn't care for. I'm not sure what to think of Russell T Davies coming, but this is supposed to be a big trailer. They've been hyping this trailer up, so let's get into it. Let's see, a lot of doctors, every time a doctor changes, I don't like the doctor usually at first. And Jodie was kind of unique, is I was kind of like, I think I'm like finally hitting the groove. Like the doctor can be different every time, and I was like, okay, I kind of get with a little David Tennant there, a little Matt Smith here. Okay, I, I see it. I see it. Not writing's not the best, but okay. Um, and then the writing on the show just went way down, jumped the shark that is tainted. And I don't really think that's Jodie's fault. I mean, I don't think she's been an amazing doctor by any means, but honestly, I can't tell how much of that is her and how much of that is just she's been given bad scripts. Now, people say Peter Capaldi's been given bad scripts, and I think he absolutely shines as the Doctor. He is my favorite of the new Who Doctors. He's probably my favorite Doctor of all, right up there with the second Doctor. But, I really think that it just... So let's see it, because every Doctor, when Matt Smith came, I was like, no, don't like this at all. When he left, I was in tears. When Peter Capaldi came, first episode, I was like, what in the world? I do not like the direction this is taking. When he left, tears. Jodie, I was kind of lukewarm. I'm like, actually, okay, this is the female Doctor. Okay, I'm on board. And we're getting towards the left, and I'm like, get her out of there kind of attitude. And I'm nothing against her or the actress. I'm not too happy with Chibnall. What's funny is this last season, he ran, and it seems to have been better. But okay, with that, let's get into the trailer.
Hello, Doctor.
The Master.
Welcome to the end of your existence.
One of my favorite parts of this era of Doctor was the Master.
A dozen of the world's leading seismologists have gone missing. 15 of the world's most valuable paintings have disappeared.
Good.
Look, I landed! 9.9!
Can I let you in on a little secret?
A giant
Daleks
incursion on
again.
Earth is imminent.
Has it It never occurred to you that it could be a trap.
Yeah, it's not funny,
This isn't a day.
Master.
You are
Good.
erased
Ooh, the special
forever.
effects looked up.
With
Budget
a
up.
conversation stopper.
Cyberman 2? Master
It's incredibly dangerous.
It was a really bad idea.
Anything could happen.
I don't want it to end.
Budget's definitely there. The power of the Doctor.
Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Doctor Who YouTube channel.
Yeah, you could definitely do that. Okay, now my thoughts on the trailer. There was something the Master said in there. If I caught it right, he mentioned that he was going to erase the Doctor. I think this is a little bit of a clickbaity thing. I think they're doing that to try to get people who have not been a fan of this era excited to see Jodie Whittaker exit as the Doctor. So they're making it like that's the plot of the episode because inevitably we know she dies at the end. I mean, there's spoilers, but yeah, she dies at the end because we know that there's a new Doctor coming, so she has to die somehow, heroically probably, just like all the other Doctors previously have pretty much done. So with that said, I really think the whole, he's talking about erasing her. This is clickbaity to me because the fandom has been saying that this whole era needs to be erased. Now, you hear the same thing over in the Star Wars fandom. The Star Trek fandom wants all that stuff that's Kurtzman Trek put in like its own parallel universe or something. Let's not make it canon to the TOS and TNG era. And Star Wars fans, they say let's make the sequel trilogy non-canon. I am not a big fan of decanonizing stuff. Now, Doctor Who, there's tons of retcons. There's tons of ways to retcon. Doctor Who is something that makes that easy, and I am okay with them retconning the Timeless Child. I'm okay with them retconning tons of plot points in that. But if we were to ever see something where it was all the Doctors, in my mind, it's been done now. This is the 13th Doctor, and it's a shame because if they were to retcon it and say that, well, that, Peter Capaldi woke up and it was all a bad dream, regenerates into the next Dr. Gumway, or, which I have a feeling that all these people that want it wiped from existence are not going to be happy with his run of it either, just based on things that I've been seeing. So, which, and I might not be a fan of it either. I'm very skeptical. I'm going in cautiously optimistic, but I'm very skeptical. So with that said, it's a shame because when Russell T Davies first brought Doctor Who back, we didn't know if we were considering the 8th Doctor canon. We didn't even really know if we were considering any of Classic Who canon. We just knew that this wasn't the first Doctor. And it was kind of a soft reboot. And then we slowly, we're bringing in past characters, but it's all kind of loosey-goosey. And then we got to the Stephen Moffat era, and he was all about constantly like hammering down everything in Classic Who is canon. And he made the 8th Doctor canon. Because up until that point, like, fans were calling it the 9th Doctor, the 10th Doctor, but he made it like definitive. This is the Doctor canon. So, when he put him in the prelude to the 50th special. So with all that, like, it would be a shame to suddenly now have Doctors that were in canon, because there were Doctors in the past, like the 8th Doctor, like the 6th and 7th Doctor, that were not remembered as fondly as some of the other classic Doctors. that have now had their time to shine on stuff like comics and Big Finish and all these different things, it would be a shame to suddenly now go in and start being picky and choosy about which Doctor is real and which isn't. Because at that point, then once you open that Pandora's box, then every Doctor that comes in, well, if there's fan band loss, that Doctor just doesn't exist. That weakens the show. Because there are a lot of Peter Capaldi is my favorite Doctor. There's a lot of people that didn't like the Peter Capaldi era. So it'd be just as easy to say, well, that wasn't canon either. See, once you open that Pandora's box, it's so I'm not calling for that. I do want them to retcon or walk back stuff like the Timeless Child, or well, as the show did, to put it in a box where we never have to address or believe in it, but it's supposedly always there. The Doctor's just choosing to forget about it. It's a weird way of doing it. But on another note, the special effects in this look very impressive. This episode looks like it's using an entire season's worth of budget to do a special, and it's the 60th. It should. It should. This is the ending of an era of a showrunner. It is the ushering in of a new era of a showrunner. It is the death of a Doctor. It is a big 60th year special. It should look impressive. I mean, Day of the Doctor, that like that blew Doctor Who up so much bigger. So we should expect that. Unfortunately, I think as momentous of an occasion as this is, the stuff that's come before in Jodie's era, in the Chibnall era, is going to drag this down. I saw the Master, the Daleks, and the Cybermen. So you're bringing the three biggest villains of the Doctor all into one thing. That's kind of cool. I mean, if they could have brought in the Sontarans and the Ceruleans and the Martians, they'd oh, all of a sudden I'm forgetting the name. But anyways, if they'd brought in like a whole plethora, like that would be even more special. But this is kind of like in the 50th, Daleks were the main villains, but the Zygons were also a big crucial part of that. That's fun to kind of have. So we've got these three big bads. I think though the Daleks have been done to death. They were done to death in Moffat's era, because they were already a big crucial thing in Russell D. Davies' area, but they weren't overdone. And Moffat did a lot with them, and it got to the point where okay, we're seeing too much Daleks, not enough other stuff. But Daleks, amazing. And Chibnall, who has done now multiple specials. Like that seems his go-to whenever it's supposed to be a monumental episode, is it's the Daleks. And so now it's just kind of becoming this thing. But the Cybermen there, and it did look like it was like that Cybermen from the Timeless Child and the Master, and I am hoping that it is a decent send-off. I always want it to succeed. I always want it to do well. Even though I do not like this era of Doctor Who, I want it to do well. I want this to be something we can go, okay, well, this was at least decent. But I'm in the Master, I've loved the Master. Like when his reveal and stuff, just how crazy. But then he was his second role appearance was the Timeless Child, and it's like, oh. And now we're seeing the Cybermen and the Master. Are we going back to that? I thought we concluded that with the end of the last season, so here's to hoping it's good. Tell me what you think. Are you excited for this? Are you excited for the next era of Doctor Who? Let me know down in the comments below.